binges are not a weakness? What if your binges instead are a sign of evolution, a sign of strength, an example of you being a successful human? I appreciate that binging can feel so terrible. So many people have talked about the shame and blame spiral they get into whenever they experience a binge or when they feel out of control with their eating. And something that I always think about is it's probably the opposite going on, that you're not out of control or losing control, but rather your body and your brain are coming together to keep you in a place of safety. It's not something that's a weakness. And if you don't like binging, if it's something that just feels so hard to shake after it's over, or maybe you feel like you almost have a hangover the next day, one of the best things you can do is pluck out that shame and blame that you get for experiencing a binge. That will keep you stuck there forever, literally forever. And when you're in the throes of a binge, I also would encourage you to give yourself permission to cope with whatever you're coping with. And a lot of times a binge is not from an emotional cue. A lot of times a binge is because of panic hunger. If you haven't heard that phrase before, panic hunger is the type of hunger we get when we have not had enough. And for a lot of us, we think we don't need to eat that much. And in reality, we need so much more. We've been pre-programmed to believe that we only need a certain amount of calories every day, or a certain amount of carbs, or a certain amount of pleasure. And it's all bullshit, because only you and your body know how much you need. And experiencing panic hunger when you think you're eating enough is a really great sign that you have been programmed to believe you need a lot less. You can trust your panic hunger. You can trust all your hungers. They're there for a reason. And I do include emotional hunger. Those are just as important as physical hunger to meet their needs. So if you experience binges or you're out of control eating and you want to experience less of them, that's okay. And again, the first step that I would encourage you to experiment with is practicing compassion and permission in the moment. And then when you're feeling calmer, 8 to 12 hours later, consider what was going on before. Did you really eat enough? Did you really have permission to meet all your needs? For most people I talk to, no. They had a really stressful day. They had to work through lunch. They maybe worked themselves harder than they usually do, or they got more activity. They maybe waited too long to start to eat, and panic happened. Again, this is a strength. If you're noticing it happen with some pattern, with some themes to it, that's the data that's going to help you to recover and really learn what your food voice is. You can find clues from your binges about your unmet needs. So if you experience binges and you feel out of control with food at times, first things first, I want you to give yourself compassion. You are coping, and coping is always successful. I also encourage you to practice unconditional permission to eat in those moments. There is nothing wrong with meeting your needs using food. Absolutely nothing. You are being a successful human, and I am so proud of you for doing that.